Okay, so now we're live. However, I have not played my intro yet, and we're live. So we're gonna do this again, okay, y'all? One more second. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. You are rocking with me, Ms Oshun, on the God Channel, Game of Dragons, and I have my esteemed co-host tonight, which is Arshawn.
Hello,
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 Arshawn.
hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. A lot of people be expecting me to, be the contrarian, and I don't always like being the contrarian all the time. But
Got you.
today, for this topic, yeah, we will get into some contrarian type of stuff. Um, so I'll probably have to cut this one up a bit because I don't want to berate people with the information, but we're gonna get into it because we really do need to kind of settle the score, and that's why I named this the score. I kind of was inspired by the Fugees, but
Yeah, I like that.
I wanted to say the score because essentially there seems to be a fight
Yep.
between the African American community and the Arab Egyptian community. There seems to be a fight, and I don't know why there's a fight when there's so many other people involved. But there seems to just be this issue between African Americans and Arab Egyptians. And I want to be clear, I'm not talking about any other type of Arab because we all know what the word Arab means. If you don't, look it up. Uh, but there's a lot of different types of Arabs. Arabic speaking people does not mean that they're white, black, or anything else. You could be, you know, any kind of Arab, but that's what that means. But I'm specifically talking about the Egyptians who see themselves as Arab Egyptians, or let me be clear, white Arab Egyptians. Okay. For the ones that like to mix stuff, that's who we're talking about. So I want to play a clip from a newscast that happened recently in reference to the recent film from Netflix entitled Cleopatra. Now, this I don't know if this film is out yet or if it's to be or to come out yet. However, as much controversy as I've seen over it, I don't even know if it's going to be on television. But I do think that it deserves a conversation just because there's too much going on here for us not to talk about this. So I want to play the clip real quick. Let me see here. Where is it? Okay, so I'm gonna come back to this because I really need this clip really shown because I swear to goodness uh, I was really taken aback by this one.
Yeah, when I
Let me
looked into it, it was sad and kind of messy. And shout out to Bree in the chat.
It was. Shout out to you guys. Hi. Okay, I'm trying to find that exact video. I think this is the one with let me see. This is the one with Piers Morgan, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, have you seen that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is
Sure.
it
So to
was
say that,
what is that?
um,
What is that? Okay, so to say that it was not I was triggered. I was triggered, but let me find that for me real quick. Let me see. hmm I have so many different what you call it playlists that I'm okay. Here it is. Okay, so I want us to. I'm gonna play it from the beginning because I don't want us to miss any part of that. But let me see. All right, so I'm gonna present here, and we're gonna do share screen. Which one? Library. Mhm. Okay, so this is telling me that it wants to share this, so I'll share it. Give me one sec. 'Cause this is kind of like what I do here. Get into technical like issues. Okay, so let me see. Select window or screen, entire screen, and you know what? We'll just do it this way because I don't have both my screens on, but we'll I'll hide this and we'll just play it right here because I think most people know what this is, but I just want people to hear the argument because it's really important that you understand what's being said because I don't want to misquote people here. So I'll say that now. Okay, so let's play this from the beginning.
The big budget Netflix series on Cleopatra has been hit with claims of cultural vandalism over the casting of black actress Adele James in the lead role. Cleopatra's precise heritage is a point of scholarly debate. There's no evidence that she was black, and the casting has caused major controversy in Egypt, spurring a lawsuit and claims the program makers are erasing Egyptian identity. It's not the first casting controversy we've seen, of course, though the backlash is normally the other way around. Bryan Cranston was lambasted for playing a disabled character in The Upside, as was Jake Gyllenhaal, who starred in The Prince of Persia despite not being Persian or a prince. And of course, Eddie Redmayne, who issued a groveling apology for playing a trans woman in The Danish Girl. So is casting Cleopatra as a black woman culturally insensitive? Should we care? Isn't the job of an actor, after all, to act?
Okay, so I'm just pausing it here for the YouTube algorithm, just in case. All right, I'm gonna start it.
Well, joining me now is legendary Egyptian comedian Bassem Youssef and author of The Case for Cancel Culture, Ernest Owens. Well, welcome to both of you. Okay, let me start with you, Ernest Owens. Off you go.
Yeah, I think that this is ridiculous. I think that she is in full range to play Cleopatra. I think people should remember that there was controversy when the late great Elizabeth Taylor played Cleopatra, and people thought that it was inaccurate for a white woman like her to play the character. History has said that there is some racial ambiguity around Cleopatra's identity. She's definitely not white. And I think to even assume that Egyptians do not carry some level of African ancestry that can have a darker skin complexion is also historically inaccurate. So
Okay, so I'm gonna bring up a article in a bit to what he
Okay.
just said in reference to the outcry of just her ambiguity or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
and Egyptians in specific. But I'll let it go on. Give me a sec.
I think she's more of the ideal of what Cleopatra would look like more than Elizabeth Taylor would be. And you didn't see as much backlash for Elizabeth Taylor playing
Okay.
Cleopatra
Yeah,
compared to that.
that's a fair point. So let me go to you, Bess. I mean, that is a fair point. Liz Taylor was the biggest movie star in the world at the time she played Cleopatra. She was not Egyptian. What's the difference?
Well, first of all, this was Hollywood before it was informed.
Okay, for the algorithm, Hollywood before it was informed. But let me just say,
Right.
this is funny. This is real funny. Hollywood before Hollywood was informed. That's real funny. But okay, we're gonna let it go on.
This is where 1961 when Cleopatra by Elizabeth Taylor. We're not crazy about Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra either. That was also inaccurate. I don't know where do you get the idea that we're happy that she played the role. As a matter of fact, 1961 Cleopatra movie was banned in Egypt and many Arab countries because of Elizabeth Taylor's stance towards the state of Israel because they supported them. So I don't know where does he kind of get this information. Second of all, this is the same Hollywood that in 1956 they cast.
Now, mind y'all, and I'm just pausing it to here. He says he doesn't know where that the other gentleman got the idea that the backlash didn't happen because of Cleopatra's, Elizabeth Taylor's role in it, right? I did do some research on that backlash, and I did quote a lot of people in terms of some backlash that happened on another actress that played or was attempting to play Cleopatra through Netflix and another documentary, but we'll get to that. But I want you guys to just kind of like understand that point he made is an important point for that. We're gonna like kind of open up a little bit in a sec.
John Wayne as Genghis Khan. So this is a time where Hollywood didn't know any better. Now, the problem for me, it's not about color. It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm very sorry. Like, I come from Egypt. Egypt has a very diverse color palette. People can look like me or they can look deeper skin tone like Anwar Sadat, who comes from a Nubian origin. It's not about black and white. It's about the continuous culture appropriation and falsification of history that has been done by what the so-called Afrocentrist movement. The Afrocentric movement started the last century as a way, in a good intention, to teach African American about their rich history of West Africa.
Okay, so just pausing for the cause. As he said, this is an African American problem trying to teach us about something that we don't know about, that don't have nothing to do with us. And the whole continent of Africa, he just skipped over that in the history there. He just skipped over that. But I just thought I would just mention that. But
the great empire of Benin, of Ghana, of Songhali, the great empire of Mali. But the thing is, that's why you find people like Kevin Hart, who subscribes to these theories, who claim that his ancestors.
So pay attention, y'all. He said there's great empires in West Africa, right? So essentially, you know, what he really trying to say is, why y'all talking about us? Y'all should be talking about West Africa. Why are you guys talking about us? That's what that really is. But let me let him rock.
Build the pyramids. I'm sorry, your ancestors had their own wonderful civilization in West Africa. They are culture appropriating my culture, calling the people of Egypt of today, despite their skin tone, that they call us as invaders. They call us as intruders, and they are being erased from our own history. This is something that Hollywood has done over the years.
Understand, but let me throw this back at you.
Okay, he said essentially we call them invaders, but I guess nobody else does. But we're gonna get into that. Okay.
Point that we've had so many cases now where people talk about appropriation with actors, be it their sexuality, be it their gender on occasion, be it whatever it may be. And ultimately, I always come back to one point, which is, shouldn't actors do what their job description is? Act. I mean, shouldn't any actor be able to play any part, actually? And once you start making exceptions for that rule, where do you stop?
Is that question for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is not a work of fiction. This is a documentary. There's a huge difference. This is not the Little Mermaid, which is like a fictional character where anybody can play any.
And I just want to say this: he is correct. He is correct on this point. I will give him that. He's correct on this point. Because I don't want you guys to think I'm just against him. He's correct, but we're gonna keep listening, and then we're gonna chop it up. He got a couple more stuff to talk about here, but I don't want to make it too long.
Cleopatra came from a Macedonian Greek origin, and the thing is, it's not about like the skin color. We don't care about if they're black or white. It's about how Hollywood is so culturally sensitive, and they're so sensitive about all kinds of minorities. But when it comes to my people, we seem to be erased. A couple of years ago, they announced that Gal Gadot, an ex-Israeli soldier who condones her government actions and atrocities against Palestinian children, she was going to play Cleopatra. For me, this is even a bigger insult. And Gal Gadot is not black. It's not about black and white. It's about this idea of Hollywood always stealing the culture of my own people. I don't care what Charleston Heston tells you in The Ten Commandments or Steven Spielberg tells you in The Prince of Egypt, but I am sorry, Jewish slaves did not build the Great Pyramid. This has been debunked many times by historians.
Let me
oh my God.
The only people who are not allowed to tell our own shit. We are the only people who are not allowed to talk about our own history.
Okay, so at this point, they're gonna go back and forth, and I honestly I don't think we need to berate the point in terms of the counter argument. I don't, but I'm gonna skip forward a little bit just to hear Pierce's question to him. But because I that statement about they the only people that can't talk about their history, like, you know what? Okay, what Earth is he on? I think it's 24 that he's on, because this is clearly Earth 1. He need to go back. Give me a sec. Hold on. Let me skip, because I don't got time. Hold on.
I could imagine this happening without people creating much of a fuss. Is it because it's a Hollywood movie and Hollywood's put itself in the vanguard of cultural appropriation?
It's a documentary. Hollywood has been erasing my people from the we have are not allowed to tell our own history. And I'm sorry, I have to disagree with the gentleman. It's not about it's not just Cleopatra. Everybody in that movie, her court, everybody who's supposed to be Egyptian, they look like they came from West Africa, from the south of the Sahara. We as Egyptians are being called intruders and invaders in our own culture. This has been going on systematically. I don't want to wake up one day and find the Museum of the African American Culture and History claiming the stolen Egyptian artifacts in the British Museum to be theirs. And now I'm hearing that Zendaya, the very popular actor, who I would love her to play it, but Zendaya ethnically is half Nigerian, half German, and now she's going to play. Where are the Egyptian actors? Where are the Arab actors who suppose it? And the thing is, even like historically wise, you see in the trailer, it's like I don't care what they told you, but Cleopatra was black. Who's that woman?
Oh my God. Okay, so let me come back here because I think we have essentially had enough of that. Let me bring this back and take that down. Okay, so all right. Okay, that's a lot to take in. Okay, R'Shaun, I'm gonna let you just kind of comment real quick before I start, because I have a whole rack list of points that the record needs to be set straight, and my opinion does differ from most African Americans. And I know what people may be thinking. Well, Lola just wants to prove that this is a black woman and blackity black. No. I'm of a different opinion here. So I'm gonna let R'Shaun give his take on that. Go ahead, R'Shaun.
My first thing is because I didn't have this written down, but when I was listening to him here this second time, my first takeaway was that he's so sensitive about the plight. He talked about my people. I talked about on one of my streams something called plight supremacy. And he went on to talk about we're the only people that can't speak about our own history. Right now, every group, no matter what you identify with, everybody feels persecuted. Everybody feels victimized. I'm not sure how we got to a state where every demographic of people feels like they have a plight and everybody's against them. I'm not sure how we got there, but we're here. Plight supremacy. His plight is more supreme. It needs to be brought to the forefront. Everybody gets to act like their people, but our people are getting erased. It sounds crazy, but I get it. He said he's also more concerned. I would say he's also more concerned about his identity and not the audience that the art is catering to, because that's an important thing. Who's buying this Netflix? Who's going to be watching this Netflix? Jada Pinkett is making this. Who's her intended audience? It's probably going to be black women, because as we've seen, black men just do not like Jada Pinkett Smith. So, 9 times out of 10, playing towards black women, you might want to put the image of black women in it, just again for their consumption. She's not necessarily trying to make something completely accurate.
Right.
She's trying to make something that caters to her audience. It leaves open question. They did talk about, and when I did look at the preview, they do talk about, was she a black woman? People desire to see themselves in art. So I really think we have to quit trying to center ourselves in every conversation. Like we're not the center of everybody's universe. Let other people have things, even if it looks like it's touching on something that we care about. We need to let other people have stuff.
Okay. I think that's a fair assessment of this film from a PR standpoint, because at the end of the day, who are we talking about here? Like seriously, who are we talking about? Now, okay, to your point of the intended audience, right? So many other movies have been created, obviously, on that point around the Egyptian saga, and thus their audience has been different. Obviously, the first Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor, the audience was strictly white people, and I mean white people, okay, not regular white people, white people, little white people. And then you had, the one with the lady, what is her name, Gal
Gadot.
Yeah, Gal Gadot.
Don't forget that name again. Don't forget that name again.
She is one of them, small hats. That is the small hats, and they had a problem with that. So, but that audience, obviously, there's an audience for that, and so there's an audience for this. But I've seen other smaller films with other people playing this role, though. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have. Both white women and other Black women I've seen playing this. So when Pierce asked him, is the outrage because this is Netflix? Is that what this is, because it's Netflix, or is it really because you have a genuine issue? I thought that was a really fair question, but his answer was, in my opinion, very disingenuous. It's to say, well, it's not about that. It's about the Egyptian people, while he's claiming that this woman is not Egyptian, she's not Arab, she's not Black, she's Macedonian. It's like, dude, your history is not Macedonian. Your history is not Greco-Roman. You are an Arab born in Egypt or born in Africa. This is not your history. If you're gonna claim somebody's, overtaking and blackwashing your history, it should be an Arab history. So he says, where are all the Arab actors? Where they supposed to be? In the audience. That's where they at. In the audience, sir. If you're watching, they're in the audience. Seriously, they're in the audience. Because there were no Arabs in that country ruling anything at that time. Like, I assure you that. So what do you mean, where are the Arab actors? Now, here's the thing. In all faith, all good faith, there should be a Cleopatra with Arab people in it that caters to the Arab people. It should be, because let's be honest, I've done a little bit of research on this, and her ethnicity, even as a Macedonian Greek, is obscured, meaning this. Her father was clearly a white man. Okay, clearly a white man. But she comes from a line of some obscure people that probably were a little brown. I looked at the 9 generations of her family that came before her, and I'm gonna be honest with you, they probably got some Black up in them. They probably do. But but that's not my point. That's not my contention here tonight. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen some things. Like, she's not the only obscured one in her family in terms of her identity. Now, just quickly, Macedonia, is that a place that only has lily white looking people in it? Like, because they said it's not about skin color, it's about identity. So my question is, well, are Macedonians lily white people? Because the original Greeks were dark skinned people. So, I'm just trying to figure out, what are we talking about here? Because it's sounding like it's about race. That's what it's sounding like to me. Have you seen anything different in terms of Europe? Because I see dark skinned people originating in Europe as far back as, you're talking about 600 BC, and this right here happened about 100 BC. Like, I'm a little confused. Like, why are we really having this conversation? Because to me, Arabs, he's saying that we're being told that we are invaders. Right? That's what his issue is. It's like, y'all are calling us invaders. I.e., I guess his position is they're not invaders, they're originals, right? Okay, I'll roll with that. You original. So we should originally find some Arabic up in there. We should originally find Arabs ruling as the ruling class in one of these dynasties. That's what we should find. But when African Americans say you are an invader, we mean that the same way you understand the Hyksos are invaders. That was written in their text, that these people invaded their country. And so did the Alexander the Great, which her great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was a general of. He was a white man that invaded Egypt and decimated Egypt and put all his family members and friends as kings in all of the regions that he conquered. Now, I don't understand, did this guy really get on national television and act like that's not a Google away? Like, you don't even have to go to school to know that. Like, you can just Google that. Never mind all these college degree people up in here. Never mind them. You just Google that and see that. So my thing is, this is sounding like some old reverse psychology. I'm gonna be honest with you with them. Because just from the PR standpoint, not even the historical standpoint, it's sounding like that. But I wanna get into some points that I wanted to make right now. Let me just state my position here.
Okay.
I think that Jada Pinkett Smith is out of pocket.
Ooh.
First of all, I think she out of pocket.
Uh-oh.
I think we need a few more years of not seeing her. That's what we need first. Second, we need a few more years of just no Jada for right now. Like no Jada, okay? Just give us like 2-3 years to just kind of calm down, because there's some people still upset about, what happened. But I think she out of pocket for that reason. But two, I think she's out of pocket because, like the gentleman said, there are other parts of history that have other Black people that really need spotlight versus the Egyptian dynasties, right? There's others. However, when it comes to Queen Cleopatra VII, which is who we're talking about, we're not talking about Cleopatra. There were 6 other Cleopatras and 3 mothers before them in terms of grandmother. Okay, we're talking about 10 generations, about 9-10 generations. Cleopatra VII was the worst queen in written history. The worst. Okay? So this theatrics about how great she was is the same theatrics that people give Alexander the quote unquote great. He came and he decimated like an unnatural animal that just wants to kill for the sake of killing, not even eating what he kills. Like that's what it's akin to. And my thing is, all right, you made her racially ambiguous. I give you an E for effort. But let's be clear. That minted coin that we all can research and see of her face. You see what I'm saying? That minted coin, that the side of her face, that is not a beautiful woman, first of all. Yeah, I said it. Secondly, that is not a Black woman. Yeah, I said it. That's not even a racially ambiguous, and we know racially ambiguous women are typically beautiful. That is not her. Okay, like that's not her. Okay, Cleopatra II was not beautiful, and she did not look like this racially ambiguous woman that we see on the screen. She just did not. We see that. We have Greco-Roman statues of this woman with this huge nose, this really teeny chin, and these really skinny lips, and this oversized bone right up in here. Like, Jada is doing the most right now. And here's my thing. Let white people have Cleopatra. That's my position. Give them Cleopatra. Give them Cleopatra. But here's the problem. When you show Cleopatra VII, show the true story. Don't show her in no quote unquote glory. Show her as the animal her Ptolemy the First was, because she was the same. She did the same thing as Ptolemy the Third and the Fourth did to their wives, their children, their cousins, and their siblings. Killed them in order to maintain power. Show Cleopatra VII as the animal that she was, killing off her siblings, only to be a queen to sell off the greatest empire in Africa to white people again. Show that. That's my position. Give Egypt back their Cleopatra. Give them Arabs back the white Greco woman that they worship. Okay? Let them Arabs worship that white woman if they want to. But here's the thing, show that real story. Because we have other queens, we have other Black women in history to show. We don't need Cleopatra VII. Okay? Like, let's talk about Cleopatra V. Her mother or her grandmother. Let's talk about those Cleopatras and how they were killed by their husbands and child right after they had their children. For power. Let's talk about that. Let's not over sensationalize these stories. And I'll give it to them. You want to blackwash something? Cool. Blackwash something that is worth blackwashing. Give them that. So that's just my position. What say you?
I hear you. That was a hot take, but before I say anything on it, man, I get you to say white man one more time.
A white man.
I love that one.
I don't like saying white. I gotta put the I in it.
White man. I don't know. I gotta work on that. That was great. I love it. But you're right. When I looked into it, Cleopatra VII, a lot of incest was in that family. There was a lot of brutality, a lot of murders, there was a whole bunch of mess. I had no idea that there were 7. And there were actually more than 7. because there was a Cleopatra and there was an S word. I can't remember, like Cleopatra. I'm gonna make up like Cleopatra Susan. Like they had another Cleopatra designation that ran through the family as well. So there were so many different Cleopatras. I think one Cleopatra killed another Cleopatra at one point because there was 3 sisters of one parent that were all Cleopatras, like all in one sibling line. So that she was the last from that Ptolemaic period to rule over Egypt was interesting. I heard good things about her. Again, I wasn't alive back then. I don't know if she was terrible or great, but everybody said they credited her with stabilizing the economy and all kinds of magnificent things. But then she had like a really lavish lifestyle, and the Greeks got offended by her. So, I mean, there's a lot of conflicting information. I don't really care about Jada Pinkett's desire to blackwash anything at this point, because everybody else appropriates everything. The guy did talk about appropriation and fancification. That was his word. I think we need more of it. I think we need to be able to see different people in different roles, because I think we're so dead set on everything being exactly the way we imagine it that we can't stretch our minds beyond to see anything different. So we're stuck. We're stuck in the way we see the world, which is how we have the world we have today. Why not start imagining something different? Why not stretch our imagination? Be able to see Black people in Asia people in white spaces, white people in Native American space. Why not do some blending? Because our desire for sameness is the same thing that guys having a problem with. My people are being who are your people? Because if you go far enough back, your people are not your people. The history of this world is one of movement. So when they say invaders, the invader may not be the best word. It might be settlers. It might be immigrant. But your people came there at some point. Nobody was birthed out of the soil that they now inhabit. So there's this movement based on food, weather. Everybody's moved. So there's nobody that has ownership of the soil that they currently inhabit, because everybody came from somewhere else. Everybody.
Now, now that's something I wanted to kind of be clear on, as the title of this is The Score. I wanted to be clear, right, that when he talks about African Americans, right, and Afrocentrism, here's the issue with Afrocentrism, right? Afrocentrism is not about making something ours. It's not about that. It's about telling the truth. It's about the history that is on record, but certain people have had their hands in terms of not putting out there to the public for different reasons. That's what Afrocentrism is about. So this is where the connection is, that I believe that they are connecting African Americans to this issue, because they're saying, well, African Americans are appropriating our culture. And it's like, let me tell you something, right? Up until the first Ptolemy, right, which is one of the last dynasty, right? All the pharaohs above that were Black, except for the Hyksos dynasty, which were the invaders. Okay, everyone was Black. So when they say you're erasing our culture, what they're trying to essentially say is African Americans, Egyptians look like us and is us, and y'all are acting like it was anything else at any point in time. Meanwhile, also saying that it's a mixed race population. Which one is it? This is the reverse psychology that I'm talking about. Like he's saying that, but then he's also making the counterpoint to what he just said. And my thing is, if he wants to pull that rabbit out the hat, I'm going to pull this rabbit out the hat, so that we can see, well, who did the Egyptians feel were invaders? Hold on, let me add this to the string. You understand? Hold on. So I'm gonna pull this down. So if you see this, right, this is the Pharaoh Ahmoses, who took back the crown from the invaders. Look at these invaders right here. He clearly made them look like what he thought they were, which was white people, or let's say Semitics. Yes, I said it. The Semitics. Okay, that's what he did. And it's like at the end of the day, are these your ancestors? Mr. Arab, are these your ancestors, the Semitics from across the river? Like, which one? Because we got a lot of photographs we can go through. If you really want to go through some photographs, You understand? But it's like, the truth be told, if we want to talk about, like you said, Arshawn, the migration of people, Arabs over time migrated into Egypt and North Sudan, and a couple other places, Libya, a few other places, all the way over to Morocco. Like they migrated and kind of became a force there, right? Sort of like how white people migrated into America and became the dominant force. It's the same thing. But for white people, they know they're not the original like natives here. They know that, and they don't purport to be that. I mean, except when in Texas, some of them. But you know what I'm talking about, the $5 joints. Other than that, they know they're not that. So why is it that when it gets to Arabs, they want to quote unquote protect their heritage, and they're attaching their heritage to a people that is not them, meaning you are not Nubian, like he said. So you cannot attach yourself to the Nubian dynasty that lasted 100 years, and that was in most recently, okay? You can't attach yourself to the other dynasties because they're clearly not you. I can show that to you in real time. You can only attach yourself to the Hyksos and the Greeks and the Macedonians. That's it. Now, these are clearly invaders. They killed everybody and took over. And the ones that didn't kill everybody simply just forcibly took over. So, my thing is, I think everybody's gunning for African Americans because we are the quote unquote trendsetters, even when it comes to historical, let's say pushing the conversation forward as far as history. And this is not to say that Native Africans don't have a place in the conversation, right? Because you got Sheikh Anta Diop and Dr. Ben and a few others that are not African American that set this trend when it comes to Egyptology on the map. However, at the end of the day, when people talk about Afrocentrism, they don't think about, people in Africa, which is weird. They think about this small minority of people in North America that make up maybe up to 20% of the population, and that's on a good day. So my thing is, this beef that they're having is a beef that I guess it's almost like to say we're looking for someone to blame. Like they said, Hollywood did this. Well, who is Hollywood? Is it Black Hollywood? We don't have our own Hollywood. Who did this? It's like who do you have beef with? Jada Pinkett, right? She's one woman. One. And here's the thing, she's not even the only person on that production team that made that film. She's just one woman. So she has all these other people that are there to support her that are not Black at all. But yet you want to point out one person and go to that. Well, for all that, where's the one Jew that we should point to for all our problems? I just want to know, where's that one person, Arshawn? Because clearly we got to do the same thing.
It's Leor Cohen. He's the one.
Wait a minute, who?
Leor Cohen. Yeah.
Leor Cohen. Oh my God, Leor, come on now. You.
You said we got a point at one, man. He gonna be the one. He gonna be the one. I think he was a music industry exec. Yeah, music industry exec. Man, it's a lot. I did want to question you though, because you said like the people who took over, or people who like, because he did mention like the Kushites. He mentioned a lot of different groups that ran Egypt, and you used the term Black. I would challenge that, because what do we mean by Black? Mm-hmm. Like, what does that mean? Like, okay, different African nations took over Egypt, but what does Black mean? Because Black means so many different things now.
I'll say this. When I say Black, I just mean all those who are not considered Semites, or the people from the Hyksos people, which we understand is the small hats that these Arabs say they descend from them. So, if that's what I'm talking about, because every dynasty was depicted inside of the Egyptian museums. We have every dynasty on record. We have their skin tones on record, all of that. And so there's no ambiguity in terms of people of color, let's say that were on the continent and come from the continent. Like, we have no evidence that the most ancient of Egyptians, meaning coming from the first dynasty, migrated from Europe or migrated from Asia. We have no record of that. But even the most notable historians, and I'm talking about white historians, will tell you that, well, people migrated from further south, not from north down, in terms of the first peoples in Africa. So again, we have, now that might be the case, but we have no evidence of that. So while there's no evidence of that, let's just say a word straight. That, for instance, when you look at these kings, right? Let me see this picture. Queen Hatshepsut, right? I'm gonna show you something real quick. Let me show you. I'm gonna share my screen again, right? And I want you to tell me, does that picture look like the woman that's standing next to it? Like when we talk about black. Hold on, let me see. Share the screen. I want to see. I'm still learning this, right? Slides.
Yeah, you and that tech.
Yeah, I gotta learn this. I gotta learn this.
While you're pulling that up, I really think that it's really, like you said, I mean, to the guy's point, they do know she was mostly Macedonian, and he did admit, even there in Egypt, they had a lot of skin tones. So I also wanted to bring in the context that we're also talking about 2,000 years ago, where people did not spend their time in climate-controlled environments. So anybody, even we're talking about the spectrum of color that we have now, and the different, skin tones, hair types, these people mostly would have been outdoors.
Right. So
anything we're a lot of stuff gets skewed towards our current cultural model. These people would have spent a lot of time outside, or if not outside, they would have spent time without, again, climate control. So they would have been darker. They would have spent more time, exposed to heat and the elements in Egypt. So even if they were Greek, spending long times in Egypt you're going to be tempted. You're going to be tempted.
Even white people go out there. When I was in Egypt, all the white people had on sunscreen and still was getting black. Like all of them. Like even the Japanese women that was out there, I was looking like, girl, you need to put something on. You was burning. Like it was bad. Like I mean, we were out in the desert. Okay, like nothing around, just desert. So I don't believe that. But if you, for instance, look at this picture. You see, this is, and I actually been here and actually have touched that statue, Queen Hatshepsut, right? Look at this face beside it.
Yeah.
Are you telling me, right, that we don't know what these people was, what they look like, and they went out their way to paint themselves as brown as they could? Now, mind you, the Nubians, right, or people from Sudan, those are the people on the planet that are the darkest of dark, meaning like they are an extreme on all spectrums. They are very visibly different than everyone else. So it's clear that when they came into the region, they are a particular people that if you're going to paint them, you better paint them right. But for everyone else that's not on that extreme like spectrum, they're brown, regular brown. And the only, based on the materials that the Egyptians had to create that brown color, this is what they came up with. Now look at that girl face right there in the corner. You telling me that they wasn't trying to match something similar to that? Being out in the sun all day, up every day, all the time, women working, men working, no sunscreen, just out in the desert. Like you telling me that nobody, like this isn't what we're looking at? But according to these Arabs, we are erasing their history. African Americans, are erasing their heritage and their history. That's what we're doing when we show images like this. I honestly, I think this is a form of white supremacy when we're being told that just showing images like this is erasing their heritage. Meanwhile, it's very clear this is not them. They want to be a part of something, and they're essentially telling us, you just be quiet and worry about West Africa. And I feel like part of the reason why they want us to worry about West Africa is because of their opinions of West Africans, or let's say sub-Saharan Africans. Their opinions of West Africa is that West Africa didn't mean anything, didn't do anything. Meanwhile, the empires in the Orient, okay, the first martial artists in the Orient were black. You understand? Like the first, like the Asia is not as white as they make it seem in the media. And I mean nappy-headed type black. I mean blackity black. I mean big nose black. That's what I mean. So it's like you could put them all in Africa somewhere and fit them in, like that type of black. And I'm not even going to talk about the issue out here in the Americas where the conversation is, hold on, there were black people already out here when the transatlantic slave trade happened. So how do we know who's from Africa and who was already here? That's already an ongoing debate now. So the question to him or any Arab that will watch this video and feel offended is, why do you feel that we're stealing something from you when we just showed the truth? Why is it that we can't find you in history? We find you in history upon the 5th century AD. That's when we find most of you in terms of prominence, because your best years was at the start of the Islamic era. That was your best years. Before then, we're talking about the Persian Empire that came into Egypt and killed and ransacked everything else and invaded Iran and a bunch of other stuff. We're talking about the Greeks, and we don't even want to talk about them. We know about them. Like, we talking about a lot of people here. So, but again, what are we really talking about? Last I checked, Egypt was a seafaring culture that went around the world. I don't see no cultures being overtook by these brown folk. I don't see that. So when you say, well, let's be clear about black, honestly, the word black, in my opinion, best fits it, because psychologically, it tells people who are not black, we're not talking about you. And when I say not black, I just simply mean that if you're the type of person that your identity says, if somebody says, oh yeah, you're a black person, and the first thing you say is, don't call me black, I'm not black, I'm probably not talking to you. Probably, probably. Just that's just the reality that we face. Now, I think politically, right, with Netflix, I think the reason why Netflix is going to go forward with this is, as you said, it's talking about the audience, because Netflix is about money at the end of the day. They're not trying to keep African American culture intact and Egyptian heritage. They don't care about that. They care about the bottom line, these numbers. That's the only thing they care about. And my thing is, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't do well. I hope it does do well, because she could have been looking like that. She really could have, because she really could have. However, I just feel like when we put the pedal to the metal, we're not talking about a good queen. We're not talking about a dynasty that's worth putting up as if it did anything like that we should celebrate. Like we're not talking about that. Like, now the dynasties that we could talk about is the dynasties where the black men came and re-erected like Egypt from when it was literally falling apart. What about those dynasties that happened when it comes to that, the 18th and the 25th dynasty and all the ones in between? Like, what about those? What about the queens, the black queens like that? Because, and I seen what you said in my research, they came in, the Ptolemy dynasty came in and attempted to mimic the Egyptian dynasty with the whole incest thing. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't confirm how much incest happened on the Egyptian side prior to the Ptolemies, because I just haven't done that research to that degree. But to the degree that I seen it on the Ptolemy section, I started losing count of who was who.
Right.
It was just kind of, I just lost count. I lost count. But here's the thing. I hope that Jada had enough sense to put that in her movie too. Like, yeah. Don't just talk about her. Talk about her daddy, that white man. Talk about her mama. Talk about her granddaddy. Now, here's another thing, right? Her grandfather was known for being the Ptolemy king that was hung by the people for killing his stepmother or his queen regent. You understand? So during that time when her mother came to power, it was coming off of the cuff of the country being in unrest because it had just killed its own king behind that murder that happened there, right? So I'm saying, like, this is what I'm saying, like, oh, this is the only thing this family is known for, murdering each other. That's it. Don't nobody care about anything else that they did. She said she stabilized the country. So where is it now? She stabilized what? Egypt to do what? To be taken over by who? Like, what happened?
She got a good, I think about a good 30, 36 years in there. I mean, she had a good run. You know, she had a good run. That's all you can hope for is a good run. After you go, you got to leave it to the next generation.
said she had a good run. Like
she had a good run. She had a good run. I mean, you know how many people died within their first few weeks or months of holding an office?
That's
like,
true.
I mean, there was some old, they were some dastardly folks back then. I mean, golly. I mean, backstabbing. I mean, from the Greeks to the Romans to the Egyptians, nobody was safe. So, like you say, even the Hyksos, even even in the Bible, like how many people were killing family members, and that guy, the guy that was trying to slaughter the innocents, Herod, the actual Herod, he killed a lot of his family members. So, I mean, there's a lot of that in history. The fact that she had, I don't remember exactly how many years she was in power, but having that longevity, that means something at that period of time. I would say, I mean, even for, especially for a woman, I would say that means something, that the men in the family, there was stability around her. I think that means something. But again, I can't speak to everything. I just know like the way we move. And I wanted to also say, I know I was about the incest, but I also know that's from my current cultural context, and I think that's what that guy's doing. We do a lot of back mapping of current cultural mentalities on something 2,000 years ago. So how people moved, there was a lot more. I know, especially the Romans, there was a lot more integration. You know, you had to be allegiant. You didn't have to be of the same skin color, because they knew color really didn't matter. It was your loyalty. So
it's that the politics of it all. But you know what? I want to know, what do you think of the politics of why maybe Jada didn't choose Hatshepsut, which was another great queen? Actually, she was king. Now, you want to talk about some stuff? She was king. She wasn't queen of Egypt. She was king of Egypt. And I'm like, why would you skip over that to Cleopatra? Because to me, this seems political to a degree, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's political, like somewhere.
I would say it's probably two things for me. This is just me making just guesses based on the way I see people move. One, Jada somehow finds, like, she has a natural inclination towards controversy. I don't even know how, but like it's either drawn to her or she's drawn to it in some kind of way. She likes dynamic energy, like even from like really loving Tupac to everything she's done since. Everything is on an edge of close to controversy. The second thing is Cleopatra has that fame for being beautiful. That's why they put Elizabeth Taylor, and whether it's a myth or not, there's the feeling of beauty, that exquisite beauty. And I think, and this is again me reaching, I think Jada believes herself to be one of those exquisite beauties that men are just drawn to, and will, like a Will Smith will try to do everything he can to marry you, even though you don't want to be kept, and he'll build this palatial estate for you, but you're crying at your wedding. I think she fancies herself to be that type of beauty that can't really be caged and has to be free. And even the lavish way that Cleopatra showed up in the ancient, like was it Isis? She showed up as Isis, but she went to Greece, but dressing as Isis a lot of times. So I think there's a lot of that. Jada sees herself. It's like iconography for her. Somebody she looks her. That would be me reaching, but I that's my feel.
I actually didn't think of it that way, but I can definitely see that, because I don't know what her political position would be if it is political, other than the fact that, okay, you want to sell tickets, but at the same time, it's beyond selling tickets, because she knew about the controversy with the Jewish girl. She knew about the controversy with Elizabeth Taylor and some of the other ones. So they said, well, let's go against the grain. And it's like, well, why are you going against the grain? Because this can get ugly. Because again, look at what's happening. African Americans are being attacked in the news, and we don't have anything to do with that. Like, we have our own thing going on over here, but they don't like, generally speaking, what we say about them Arabs. They don't like that. I get that. But this right here seems to be more motivated towards something that has to be beyond politics, because it doesn't make any sense. And like you said, like, okay, this is something that she's the executive producer, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, she's executive producer. So she's like at the top of this. And I get that. But see, again, there was so many other queens that match her skin tone, okay, that match her ethnicity in terms of her Africanness than Cleopatra. But again, we're going to choose Cleopatra because obviously, Cleopatra the Seventh is, popular. Meanwhile, we're not going to talk about the Ptolemies for real. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to give them that. We're gonna shield the Macedonian Greeks from their true heritage in Egypt. We're going to shield them from that. We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to act like we're just going to gloss over that, and show her.
But we haven't seen it though. We haven't seen it. They may touch on that and start people down rabbit holes of discovery. Like, we have to be fair. We haven't seen it. It's possible.
Okay.
She may drop a few little breadcrumbs for us to follow.
Oh yeah, she gonna drop them breadcrumbs if she do. But I bet you dollars and donuts, she's not gonna drop everything. It's not gonna go into depth in terms of her basically being the representation of her parents and her grandparents. Like, no. It's not going to be quite like that direct. But this is what I'm saying. And this is where I agree with the Arab guy, the Egyptian Arab guy. He's saying that there's other queens in other parts of Egypt that deserve a look that actually can be played by an African or an African American, whichever one. Now, I'll be honest with you. If she was, okay, let's suppose she was, this movie was about, let's say, Hatshepsut, right? And the girl who played the Cleopatra now was playing Hatshepsut. I think we would still have a problem.
Oh, I'm sure. People are right now, I promise you, we're in such a space where everybody's going to find a problem. There's nothing that everybody's going to have a problem unless it doesn't matter. Like, the moment it starts to matter, somebody's going to have a problem. So I don't even concern myself with people having problems anymore because, man, we're so sensitive. Like, I like taking it out of this. The whole guy with that Bud Light and that trans can, like, it was one can to one influencer, and people are like losing their minds. You didn't have to buy it. It wasn't on the shelves in your store, but you're boycotting this brand that you supposedly been drinking for years because they gave one can to one social media person because they're trans, and you lose your stuff. Like, we're going to manufacture problems. At this point, we're so bored in life. We're going to make the most mundane, minuscule, inconsequential things like life altering. Because I looked at when they're talking about this movie that Jada Pinkett is making in America for Netflix. I took the time to look at, like, let's look at Egypt. I looked at a nonprofit, and I don't have it. I didn't pull it back up. There's a nonprofit that does like free, like, freedom scores, like, for countries and nations. America got like a 76 or 77 for mostly politically free, mostly personally free. You have a lot of personal freedoms and political freedoms in the United States. Right. Let me see. Let me just pull it up real quick so I can cite it. It's Egypt got an 18. Okay. They got a 6 out of 40 on political rights, and out of civil liberties, they got a 12 out of 60. They just had their country taken over by coup in 2013, just 10 years ago. So they now have an authoritarian government. They have bigger issues than who's playing Cleopatra in a Netflix show. And that's the same problem we do here in America. We'll make Jada Pinkett's face after Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. We'll make that a week's worth of issues and conversations and arguments, as opposed to solving the fact that our kids cannot get a quality education and may not be able to drink their water safely without having developmental issues come from it. Like, we are so worried about the wrong things, and it blows my mind. I keep wanting to think that's America, but I now see, Egypt's stupid too.
Egypt's stupid too.
Yeah. I'm like,
I mean, I totally agree with that point in terms of what they have bigger issues for, because I didn't even know that. I didn't know, like, they want to talk about their heritage. It's like your people have been taken over literally, like, just last year probably, and you're here arguing about what African Americans are talking about in America when it comes to the fact that most of these monarchs in Egypt were not really white. Like, you got time for that? You know why you got time for that? Because it doesn't matter what you're going through. if you can get something over on what you believe is sub-Saharan Black people, or by extension, African Americans or Africans in the diaspora, that's what you're going to do. And I think it's reflective of, for instance, the whole transatlantic slave trade here in America, where you had the top 5% of white people, only 5% owning slaves, but the bottom 95% was living in sheer foolery, okay, for what it's worth. And yet they felt better about themselves because the top 5 told them they were better than the slaves. Even though that 5% was like crushing them, they felt, oh, it's great because as long as we're better than the N-words, we're okay. Like, I feel like it's the same mentality here with the Egyptians, the white Arab Egyptians. It's like, you got bigger problems, you really do. But you want to sit here and talk about somebody, the Arabs, not being represented in a Macedonian film. I'm just saying, like, you really think you better than African Americans because now you want to come pick on African Americans. I've seen some other newscasting with, for instance, with Kevin Hart. His show was canceled because I don't know if he said this, but somebody said he said in private that the kings of Egypt were Black. And then they said, oh no, you won't come here saying that kings in Egypt were Black. Meanwhile, I was just in Egypt last year and I literally seen 2-3 kings. And I'm gonna make a video on this on my other channel, but some of the kings that you see depicted, like actually how they actually looked, were the more Black ones. Like, the darker they were, the more you see them depicted how they actually look. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, this king ruled from this point to here, clearly sub-Saharan African. I forget Nubian, forget all Ethiopian. No, they were like blackity black. And I'm like, clearly this is the case. And you don't mind putting this on display in your museums in the heart of Cairo. But you would sit here and tell Kevin Hart he can't perform in Cairo because he stated what's on file in your museum in Cairo. This is the height of HISPA, as they say in certain communities. Just
Yo,
I'm picking on them, but you know what I mean. I hate when these people do that. I really do. I hate when they do that because when I was there, right, I remember, and somebody told me this happened to them in Egypt, that the way they sell their culture, quote unquote, I could tell it's not their culture. It's not their,
right.
It's not their ancestors. It's not their culture because they don't care about it. Like, for instance, do you think we would open George Washington's grave and have it on display for people to walk in? You out your here. You think Martin Luther King's grave is gonna be something that you can just literally like look inside of, and his body gonna be someplace in the laboratory off where you can just walk past and see that joint? You think these people out here would disrespect their racist ancestors and open their graves up and sell it off? You really think so? No. The reason, if they did do that, they did that because it wasn't theirs to sell off in the first place. It's just a way to get money.
Gotcha.
That's how it's like. That's how it is, because I'm not going to sell off something that I feel is mine, that represents me, that's my culture, to someone who isn't a part of it. Not like that. But this entire country did that. I went over there and I went inside of tombs that most people will never see, empty tombs, and I'm sitting here like, I highly doubt the people the people who come from these people, right, emptied those tombs out. I highly doubt that, because when I look at some of the footage, a lot of the footage from Egypt when it comes to exhuming these tombs, I see a lot of Arabs up in there taking sand out and all that. I see all these Arabs doing that. I don't see too many sub-Saharan Africans or West Africans, as my man like to say, doing that. I see them doing that, and what they bring up out the ground be what they literally consider as, Black people. Now, I don't want to berate the point about it, right? Because I think we all understand that, but I don't think we can say it enough to the Arab world that you are Arabs. Okay, that's what you are. You are Bedouins, whatever you want to take that as, desert dwellers, whatever you want to do. Okay, but this is not your heritage. So let's settle the score now. Okay, you people speak Arabic. Egypt was not an Arabic-speaking country. That's not what that was. You people came in, you moved in. We're glad you're here, but don't act like you always been here. Okay, don't do that. Now, I'm sorry that the African American people have a voice now, and you know the world is looking at us for every single thing we do. But it's not our fault that the world is overlooking at African Americans for every single thing we do. So if we say, well, not all the dynasties were white, that just blows up. You know why it blows up? Because we got everybody looking at us. So if you want to claim Afrocentrism is ruining your heritage and culturally appropriating, think again. This is not cultural appropriation. Your Arab culture is not what we are talking about. Not at all. And I wish one of you would try to get in the comment section, get anywhere, and tell me that we are appropriating Arab culture because we are showing actual statues of people that are black. Okay? Like, we're not. Just because we don't call Alexander great anymore does not mean that we are appropriating Arab culture. You people need to read a book. And I mean, not just the Quran. Seriously. Like, and this is no slight to my Muslim family, the Muslim family here in up in Baltimore. I rocks with them all day till death. But they know what I'm talking about. Seriously, they know what I'm talking about. And I mean, we're not going to sit here and play this game like y'all are not jealous of African Americans, because truth be told, a lot of Africans didn't know about their history until they came to America in African American circles and learned about the history of the African continent. I had a lady tell me to my face, she was Ethiopian, and said she didn't know about her tribe and her people until she came to America. And she sat at the feet of our ancestors that was teaching at our libraries in the ghetto. So it's like, no. What we're not going to do is sit here and say African Americans are appropriating anything. We are simply just giving people a history that some of you are uncomfortable to accept. That's it. And I don't want to take away from the Arab history, because Arab history is Arab history. But y'all got some history in there that y'all probably not too proud of too. Like, I'm not even gonna go into that, but this is what it is. And I'm glad that some of this heat is coming down on African Americans, and I'm glad that the pushback is exactly what it is. You see how calm homeboy was with that little flag in the back? You seen that? Like, he like, listen, don't get it twisted, shorty. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you calmly, and I'm still gonna tell you that you're wrong and you're stupid at the end of the day. Like, I moved past his point because his point was very clear and logical, right? Very clear. So I wanted everybody to just kind of see the Arab position in it, because that's what's really important for people to understand right now. Because people seem to think that Arabs consider themselves as people of color or black. No, white Arabs consider themselves white. They're whites, okay, and they like being whites. Like, I was at work one time, and a guy born in Egypt, white Arab. I asked him, at work. I said, what is your race? And the first thing he said was, I'm an Arab. And I at the question of what is my race, and I said, no, sir, what is your race? That's your ethnicity. What is your race? And he was like, well, I'm Egyptian. And so then I had to pull some more, and then he finally was saying, well, you don't have Egyptian there, right? And I was like, no, we don't have Egyptian here. I said, would you say, because he wasn't dark, but he was slightly darker than me, but he was a white Arab. And I said, do you want to say that you're African, sir? And he was like, no, I'm not African. I said, but Egypt is in Africa. And I just asked you, what's your race and nationality? And you just said that you're Egyptian. Egypt is in Africa. Are you African American? Because he had his citizenship, right? I said, are you African American? And he was like, I'm Egyptian American. I said, it says white, black, African American. And he was like, I'm just going to say I'm white. 20 minutes of talking to him about race versus nationality. And before he would say, I am African, even though he was born in Africa, he would rather say he's white and he's darker than me. So this is what I'm saying. At these Arabs, when it comes to settling this score, you people are not from Egypt. You are not from Africa. Claim your land, wherever it was from. Because I'll be honest with you, I haven't done a lot of history on the Arab ethnicity, but to me, it seems like they are a mixture of your northern folk and maybe your like South Asians, I want to say, like kind of met in the middle there somewhere. And like when you go to Pakistan, they don't look like they dark skinned like Indians, but they don't look like white people from Armenia either. Like they look like they could be a mix somewhere in between. That's kind of how I see them. Like they're just a mix of people, like really mixed. But it's like when they talk about Egypt, it's like, why is it that you need to be associated with what does not concern you? And you want to tell African Americans, be more concerned with native West Africans. Meanwhile, our history is all over this planet. Clearly, they don't read over there. Like clearly, like they don't read. And maybe that came because of that invasion they had back in 2013. I don't know. But I'm kind of tired of Arabs picking on, in essence, African Americans because we're an easy target. Because they can't pick on any specific country that in Africa that might share the same view as African Americans. Because I'm sure people in Nigeria, I've heard people in Nigeria say that the ancient Egyptians actually migrated from Nigeria to Egypt. And that's where the Egyptian tribe started from. People that migrated from Nigeria. But do you see this man up here mad at Nigerians? No, he's just gonna talk about African Americans because that's where the politics is. That's where the big money is. When you start picking on African Americans, yeah, you get that right there. They're the easy target that you can go after and think that you're gonna get something over on. Sort of similar to what happened with this guy and what's this girl that's on that Jewish channel? I forgot her name. Black girl that is on what's it called?
Not Candace.
Yeah, Candace.
Candace Owens. Oh.
Yeah, Candace Owens. She had that back and forth with the gentleman that told his pregnant wife that he didn't love her and she couldn't go to the store except for the
Steven Crowder. Yeah, right. She don't like him.
And I'm sitting here like, instead of you going after the men over there, the white men over there, you went after her. And what you didn't realize is going after her might have gotten you some views, but now the cost of going after her, I don't know what's gonna happen to do. But it's the same mentality. You go after who you think is a weak target, and people think over there that African Americans are a weak target here in America, when in reality those days are not the same. Like things, I'll be honest with you. I know we talk a lot about African Americans here still having a lot to accomplish because of our issues, but it's not the same the way foreigners imagined it. Let's say back in the 50s and the 60s, how we are or were. Like, yeah, no, you just can't say anything out your mouth about us. I mean, without consequence. Like it's not the same anymore. I'm not saying it's like we whole goons out here. I'm not saying that. But I will say you can't talk about African Americans any old kind of way and there not be some level of backlash, at least from a political standpoint. You will stand to lose something. And like in this guy's case, I bet you he's losing points in his country for coming up there saying that. Because there are native Black Egyptians that live in Egypt. It's not a lot of them, but their voices they got their own little groups, support groups amongst each other, because it's not a lot. Like, it's really not a lot until you get to South Egypt. That's where you start seeing them in greater numbers. But again, do you hear them arguing over the South Egyptians that are saying this woman clearly could have had this ancestry and look like that? No, they're only there to talk about the white Arabs, not the Black Arabs, while simultaneously saying, oh, it's not about color and race. Dude, look, keep African Americans out your mouth. That's my position. Like, we're going to give Cleopatra back. Give her back. Fuck that bitch. Give her back. We're giving Cleopatra back to you. We're giving her mama back, Ptolemy the second, the fourth, the fifth, the first, and everybody else are after that. We're giving all them people back to y'all, okay? But when we show all them people in their full glory, don't be out here talking about where's the Arabs at. And that dumb stuff. Like, comes on, where's the Arabs at? I should make a meme. Like, where's the Arabs at?
Listen, I'm just glad you brought it full circle from Jada Pinkett Smith in his documentary to keep my Black's name out your Arab mouth. So I like the way you brought that around. I honestly, though, I honestly think everybody just needs to have a broader perspective. We take ownership over ideas and concepts that really don't belong to us because we currently inhabit it.
Yeah.
Like I was just quickly looking up a map of the Silk Road that they used to do a lot of trading around. And it stretched from Europe to China, down in Egypt, down past Somalia, out to Java in the Indian Ocean. So like people moved over centuries.
Yeah.
So thinking that anybody that believes they own the place is not taking in the totality of history, because even if you like look at I know people have he said the small hat community, even look at Jews and Palestine, Israeli and Palestine, there are people who moved in and out. The Bible talked about incorporating and adopting people into the culture. So there was absorption over time, documented in the Bible.
In the Bible.
Different, so people separated out and other people moved in. Like that's a constant of humanity. There is no pure group that purely stayed in one place where they can say, this is my land, my home. No, it's just where you are now. We borrow the land, we borrow the air, we borrow the water. But everything else is going back to the dirt. We're all going back to the dirt. It's not yours. It's just where you're standing. And I think we need to have a little bit less hubris, arrogance, like, because everybody that's there now, their families probably came from somewhere else if you go back far enough.
Right.
And several somewhere else's, because we had mothers and fathers who each had a mother and father. Right. Like even Cleopatra the Seventh herself was like 3/4 Macedonian. The rest of it was probably Persian and some other. So we're coming from so many places. Trying to put a pin in one place is a little. It's an error. It's a thought error. It's a fallacy. We can't do that.
Right. But you know what? Even if we try to parcel it out of physical location as far as like race and ethnicity, right? And we parcel it down to culture, right? Again, the argument becomes where are the Arabs where they supposed to be? In the back. Because Egyptian culture is not what they practice. They practice Arab culture. They practice Islamic culture. They practice Asian culture more so than African anything. And my thing is, when you come to America and you see what we call the Hoteps, right? The Hoteps are not, let's say, appropriating Islamic like culture. Like no one out here is doing it. And I'll be honest with you, that's strange. I haven't seen not one African American appropriating Arab culture in my entire life. I have seen them appropriate, let's say, the ancient Egyptian culture, which they're open to doing that. If you feel like the ancient Egyptian mystery system is something that spiritually speaks more to you than, let's say, the West African systems, let's say in the Orisha tradition, right, or whatever, you're open to following that. I mean, it's a religious system, but culturally, it's like for instance, one thing I know in the Egyptian culture, they used to call killing someone murking them, right? In our culture, we say, "Yo, I'm gonna murk that dude." It's the same thing, but we're not appropriating Arab culture when we say murk. That's not their culture. So again, if you're gonna blame African Americans for appropriating, we actually have to talk about the difference in culture here, because there is a clear difference. And again, it just comes down to education. It's like the mystery systems in Egypt, we can see through time that changed. Over 4,000 years, it was not the same. Like Ra was not the God that we know him as in the beginning, as it was in the end. Like it just wasn't the same. So it's like, well, how is it that we have to be hands off when it comes to Egypt, but people who are not Egyptian are, it's okay for them? Here's the thing, it's okay for everyone, including white people. I think they should do another movie. Here's the thing, I think some of the racist white people, or white people who are not racist, who just feel like they might be a Macedonian background, should come and make their own Cleopatra movie and put her in the light that her mint coin has her in. Now, here's the thing. Stop trying to make all these queens beautiful. All these queens was not beautiful. Cleopatra looked like what was on that minted coin. Hold on, let me show you all this minted coin, please. Because I see somebody they gonna stop playing with me. That's what they're gonna do. I need to show it. Hold on. Because I look, Jada, if you ever see this, hold on. Let me see. Wait a minute. Present, share screen. Let me see. Here we go. This is the minute coin for Cleopatra the Seventh. Now, take a look at that. This right here. Now, you telling me that girl, that Jada Pinkett got up there look anything like that?
Nah.
Get them white people back there, Queen Jada, and focus on Hatshepsut or some of the other ones. We got countless ones. Why is you focused on Cleopatra? Listen, Elizabeth Taylor isn't alive anymore, but she actually looked more like Elizabeth Taylor now when she was old than Elizabeth Taylor did her then. Like, stop it. Like, we really need to stop. This is cultural appropriation at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This is cultural appropriation because culturally, this woman right here does not fit the description of that woman that is playing her. The woman playing her is too beautiful. It don't match. And now we are lying about queens. All queens wasn't beautiful. People didn't marry women because they were beautiful back then. They married women because of political alliances. They married women because it was expedient for them when it came to resources. Women were essentially slaves. So it's like, why are we sitting here trying to make somebody sexy, trying to make somebody do something like that? I don't understand. But this right here is the truth at the time that it was created. This is what she looked like. So I'm saying is, can we like, okay, let me show another picture of Cleopatra the Seventh, right? I'm gonna just show you another picture because it's gonna match, right? It's gonna match. Hold on, let me show you. I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna show you another one.
Too funny.
I'm gonna show you another one because see, people gonna stop playing. People gonna stop playing with me. Oh, I'm kind of tired. And Jada, she started this. She really started this. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. There you go. Now, if I took all of this out, right? All of this, and just showed you this face right here, this looks like a man. That looks like a whole man.
I was gonna say it looked a little bit like Alexander the Great or one of the Caesars.
But see, we ain't talking about how these Macedonian Greek women typically was portrayed looking a little masculine. We like let's stop. Like, to stop, Jada. No. Okay, I don't know who looked like this in America, but you could have got somebody else. Okay, that's what you could have got. All this crap that you doing, I get it. You want black people to feel good, like they queens and stuff. We already queens, but we not this one, not that one. No, give her back. Give her back.
Give her back.
Give her back. Like, just give her back. Stop playing. We don't need that for us to feel like we're anything. We really don't. We have, what's it called? What is it? Let me show you. We have black kings that literally look like this. This is this next picture I'm gonna show you, right? Is Moses, right? He is. This is a depiction of him when he was a young boy. This is the king. Okay, this is the king. Let me show you the king because there's so many hidden now. I want to know what his wife looked like. That's what I want to know now. Where we at? Moses. Here we go. This is a depiction of Moses the First, who defeated the Hyksos. This is him when he was a young boy. You see that nose they attempted to cut off? Now, I can show you another picture of him with the nose cut off. Alexander the Great, Cleopatra's great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, like, he shot it off, and his generals, that right there. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's really that's really that serious. And let me show you his actual hair color. I mean, his actual skin color. Because see, right here, you be like, well, he might have been light skinned. No, it's not that. It's not that. I'm gonna show you the skin color, then I'm gonna stop with the shame because see, I want you Arabs to understand. Listen, y'all are not in this conversation. Like, you're not. This right here is Moses the First as a grown man. You see how brown he is, similar to Hatshepsut, who is in a whole nother dynasty. brown people mixing with brown people equals more brown people. This is what he looked like as an adult. When you see his nose, now you see how the nose, to a degree, right, looks similar to when he was a boy. But now he got it shot off. So I'm like, okay, see, this is what we're not going to do. We're not going to sit here and act like African Americans are liars when it comes to Egyptian history or African history. There's a lot of crap I can say about African Americans, about pseudoism and all of that. However, I have never seen anyone openly lie about something as clear as this in my community. And that's one thing I will say. I've never seen it. And I don't think I will see it, because the truth is we don't need to lie about this. The truth is right there. Where are you? You see what I'm saying? Like, and people could say, well, where's African Americans in this? We're nowhere, because there was no such thing as an African American when Ahmosis I defeated the Hyksos. We're nowhere in this. You know where we're at? We're all the way at the end. We're the dynasty that's saving their history. That's what we are. That's who we are. We don't need to be a direct lineage from these people for us to know we have a right to Africa just as much as anyone else. And I don't understand why the only people that got a right to Africa are in the Caribbean, but African Americans are barred from it. I don't understand that. Like, for real. So, before I sit here and take this hogwash from Arabs talking about, African American Afrocentrism is a cultural appropriation. Listen, everything you people are doing is cultural appropriation, for real. Like, let's not get it twisted. And again, I'm not going to go into the Muslim history. I'm not going to do that, because see, then that would be, what, matter of fact, I should, just on a different string. I should go in, because anytime you get to talk about Muslims, everybody and their grandmammy get the rearing up. But that's fine. We can deal with that, because again, what you're not going to do is blame us for something that's blatantly obvious, like, because we stated that these people were brown. They're brown. What's the brown? Oh, you're not brown? All right. It's okay. But again, I guess we should start doing what they doing, and blaming Leo Cohen too for all our problems, since he, started the mess. We should start doing that too, because we can't be the only ones, being true to the game out here. And I feel like we are. I feel like we're the only ones being true to the game. I feel like the Greeks, they be lying back and forth. I feel like, Asia be dipping and dodging a lot of times, you know what I mean? Sometimes them Indians be acting crazy, showing white people knowing most of them is blackity black. Like, I'm be honest with you. We should start doing the same, because we being honest, the only people being honest, that's a problem right now. That's a problem. If you're going to play the game right, and these are the rules. And it seems like the rule is just pick on the people that you think you can get over on, and then try to say something slick and hope nobody Google you. That's what this is. That's what it sounds like. But I'm gonna be honest with you, the score has, I feel like the score is being settled, but I think like you said, we'll see more when this movie comes out, if it should come out, if it has the nerve to come out. But I do hope that I see the truth about the Ptolemy dynasty up in there. If I see a bunch of sexy scenes and women doing nice little things and cutting off heads and slinging their hair around and looking all regal, I'm gonna give it a bad review. I'm telling you now, I'm gonna give it a bad review.
Why can't people just have fun? Why can't they just have fun? Why can't Jada just make it a self-love movie, a self-love documentary, seeing yourself in the ancients of the world and feeling good about your connection to history? That's okay.
No, it is okay. It is okay. However, no, I want her to show life the way it was. The way it was, meaning everybody killed everybody in their family. Nobody.
There's enough of that going now.
All of that.
There's enough of that going on now. Let's have a nice, healthy, happy Queen Cleopatra, and let her be black, and we just all have sangria after. Like, that's it.
Okay, I can agree to sangria, but I can agree to sangria. But that other see, Jada gonna have to pull back on that one. And I'll be honest with you, I like the fact that she wants to do something that portrays black women in their queenship. But listen, Queen Elizabeth, the one that just passed. I don't want to see her black. I don't want to see her black. I'm just saying. I don't
I
want to
want
see her
to,
black.
if I can though, I do want to challenge one thought that we have, because I this has been a thing for me. Like, it's that ownership, the ownership of ideas, cultural appropriation. Because I'm starting to think maybe we're using the wrong word, like everybody. Because I looked up appropriate. To appropriate is to take exclusive possession of. That's one. So one, nobody can really take exclusive possession of another person's culture. Because even if we all started acting like Egyptians right now today, they'd still be them and still be doing what they're doing. So they still have their culture. The third meaning of it in the Merriam-Webster is to take or make use of without authority or right. Now, what you do visibly and publicly, if I mimic it, I'm not taking it. I may be making use of it, but that would be closer to acculturation. I'm adopting practices that I've seen in other places. So for me, it's not really appropriation, because again, you don't really have an authority or right to it anyway. I'm just seeing you do something publicly. You don't have any ownership of the way you cook. You don't have any ownership of the way you walk, the way you style yourself. There's no ownership there to be taken away from somebody. So I'm just mimicking. So like, even when we say cultural appropriation, like I think what he said he said appropriation and fancification. Even though that's a bigger word and people don't use it, I think that's a better word, because it's like I'm just reimagining. I'm making it fancy. I'm just dressing it up in a different way. We're fancifying. We're using fancification to imagine ourselves in places that we were not. The same way everybody else is doing. Whitewashing, woke washing, blackwashing, whatever we're doing, the gender swapping, all of that is a fancification. It's not appropriation, because we're not taking anything. The original still exists. The original mermaid still exists. The original Thor still exists. The original Egyptian history is not being erased because a black woman is playing Cleopatra. Neither is the Ptolemaic. The tomes are written. So I think we put such a permanent word out there, like appropriation, like something being taken. It's not being taken. Somebody's just making remixing.
Okay.
We're remixing. But the original's not going anywhere. And I think we need to quit having that fear that somebody's taking something. And I don't mean like we as in any specific group. I mean everybody.
Everybody, right.
Because it all feels fear-based. Like, oh, they're taking something from me. You're taking our history. You're erasing Egypt. No, nobody's erasing Egypt, the history, the culture. It's still going to be there, provided you maintain it. We're doing something across the ocean on Netflix. It's just a remix, and it's okay, because you'll still have the original until you, as they say in the business music bit, until you lose control of your masters.
Correct.
But then the people that come after you will be claiming it's their heritage and their history, but it's just because they moved in and they took over.
Right. And that's so true. I actually can agree to that wholeheartedly. That from the verbiage that we're using, it's not technically correct. It's just something that we're throwing around to just kind of say, hey, we're doing something and we don't have a right to do it, but technically it's not a matter of rights to do anything, you know. I'll be honest with you, what might be akin to appropriation is what we might see in some of these 3D models of these kings being skewed to look a certain way, and then when somebody else does an actual model, it's completely different, and we say, well, wait a minute, how did you get this from this? And we're talking about the same thing. Oh, you want to cater to certain people and make it seem like it's a whole nother race, and take that identity from that other person who now is deceased, and now claim it for yourself. I think that's close. I don't think that's exactly that, but it is closer, because again, the person is deceased. So if you claim that this person isn't black when they are black, if you take that and nobody else will ever know, in a sense, you have stolen their heritage, because now it can't be upheld, like you said. It can't be upheld no more, that the truth is now going to go literally die away. And there was a guy actually on YouTube that was taking the mummies from some of these sites and these schools, and he was doing actual depictions of them based on the anatomy, not based on the 3D modeling. And what he came up with was it shocked the crap out of me. It just did, and I was like, wow, I was really blown away by the difference. For instance, the depiction of Akhenaten, right? No, King Tut, the boy king. They depicted him as like some sort of decrepit type of boy, like, and very, very pale skin with a weird shaped mouth, and like he looking really weird. And they said that's the 3D model, right? Now, if I don't have a 3D modeling machine, I can't tell the truth when it comes to that, right? But then when somebody else said, no, let me do a peer review of this, and they said, hold on, how did you get this when this is sitting here with this? You literally skipped over all these different points and tried to make it seem like something that it's not. If not for them holding the line, I wouldn't know any better. So that, to me, when people like Zahi Hawass, yeah, him, when he get to saying, no, this is the depiction, the 3D model, look how beautiful it is of the Egyptians, and meanwhile this 3D modeling is being put forth as the truth, and except someone like African Americans or Native Africans in America, okay, come back with their machinery and say, let me do a peer review, I wouldn't know. Zahi Hawass and his gang are culturally appropriating Egyptian culture. Yeah, he is. He never says, oh, well, this research has been peer reviewed. No. He ain't even worried about that. Meanwhile, at every peer review, it just kind of knocks it all back. And honestly, this is what I'm saying. Like, you can't just pick on African Americans anymore and just saying that African Americans are saying something, and because they used to be slaves, that their word don't count anymore. No. Our word is the only word that count at this point. Like, I'm just gonna say, I'm not discounting Native Africans, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think they're in the midst of this conversation in the same way we are, because they're a bit tribal, so they can't really focus on Africa as a whole as much as African Americans can focus on Africans as a whole, because we actually come from Africa as a whole. Everybody, the transatlantic slave trade was not from one country in Africa or one tribe. That's not what that is. So yes, we do have rights in a sense to the entire continent, but again, it's kind of hard to do this whole bait and switch when it comes to these types of conversations, because it's just a click away to just basically debunk you and make sure that you go back to your country looking stupid. Just like this guy on Piers Morgan's show, he didn't get upset with him, the black guy. He didn't sit and say you're trying to put African Americans down and you're trying to take away our history. No, it's like, we're just going to state the facts of what we're talking about. We don't need to get upset, because we already know Google is our friend. We have pictures, and everything is being recorded, and you cannot hide. People got more recorders than a little bit. So
man,
I'm just putting that out there for the record, because if we're gonna settle this score, we're gonna settle it right. And right now, the score is Arab appropriation is not a thing. If we want to know where the Arabs are at, maybe they need to remake Lawrence of Arabia, because he was a white man. He was not Arab. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. But here's the thing. Where's the outrage when it comes to Lawrence of Arabia?
When Will Smith makes that.
Ooh.
They're gonna be pissed. When Will Smith stars as Lawrence of Arabia, they're gonna be hot.
Oh, that right there. Yeah. Oh my God, that right there. And here's the thing, he could do that. Oh my God, he could do that.
And it would be wonderful. It would be wonderful to see everybody. I think we need to lean into this. I think we just need to lean in, just making everybody, just make everybody upset about everything, so that everybody will be like we need to establish a new baseline. If everybody's always angry, then they'll get tired of it. We're gonna burn ourselves out of outrage. We need to burn ourselves out of this outrage, because we need to move on. We need to be able to get back to life, because right now we're getting so upset and hostile over things that don't really matter. Cleopatra don't matter to none of us. Ain't none of us met that woman. Ain't none of us got $1 from her. Ain't none of us inherited nothing from her.
Not one.
But not one. Black, green, white, Arab, Asian. Ain't none of us impacted by no Cleopatra.
I know I ain't. Shoot.
We closer to being impacted. What was that? Cleopatra Jones? Wasn't that a movie with Pam Grier?
Yeah.
That's closer to being closer to being
us.
relevant. That's closer to being relevant to us than no Cleopatra the Seventh from the Ptolemaic period from 2,050 years ago.
Good Lord. But now okay, you see Yella in the comment section talking about Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence. That would be a good one.
Now here's the thing. I think that I would pay to see Martin Lawrence of Arabia.
That would be great.
Now, I don't know if it would be a comedy. I'm going to be honest with you. I think if he makes it a comedy, he could get away with it. And I think he could get away with it. But if he makes it like a real actual documentary type of film, I don't know. Because here's the thing. The first Arabs, according to most people that live in the south of Arabia, were dark-skinned, kink hair Africans, right? That's what they say. And I understand that. They feel like it was Arabized by white people. I get it. However, doing Martin Lawrence of Arabia, that I don't know if that could be a legit movie. Like, but I want to see it though. I want to see it. If Jada gonna do this, he might need to catch up and do that. But if he did Martin Lawrence of Arabia and made it a comedy, I think people could accept that a little more.
I would love to see it. We need to lean. I promise you, we need to lean in. All those memes where people are like putting like black people in white roles and white people in black roles. A white person playing Mandela. They need to just go ahead and
do it.
White Mandela. It'll be like Tom Cruise as Mandela. Just do it. Just do it. We need to just get over that.
But it couldn't be a real movie. It would have to be something like satire, like or comedy. Or something. No. I'm saying just lean in. So that way we can get over this shock. Like the shock of seeing somebody in something that we don't expect to see them in. See what I'm saying? Like just so we can see somebody that's like Big Mama. Let's make Big Mama. Let's make it like Soul Food. Remake Soul Food, but make Lucy Liu Big Mama. You know what I'm saying? Just we need to disrupt people's patterns. Right.
Like we need to break the need to see things the way we're used to seeing them. Because that dependence has us just tripping over small stuff.
Okay.
Right.
Yalla is right. Tom Cruise did play The Last Samurai. But here's the thing. The first samurai was a dark-skinned black man, according to history. So here's my thing. Will Smith, if you listening, we need a black man playing the first, not the last samurai, but the first samurai, okay? I think you should put some money behind that, Will, because I know you got it, okay? I know you got it. And if your wife got it, I know you got it, all right? So if anybody knows Will Smith and want to clip this, tell him Ms Oshun said we need the first samurai. It's like a real movie, though. Like not a comedy, a real movie. The first samurai, the black man, and all of that. I mean, I don't mind him having a little chinky eyes, but we got black people over here with chinky eyes that's totally black. I'm just saying, we need a black samurai. That's what we need. And like a real one with like real nice hair and stuff. I want to see that with the Asian music and stuff. I want to see that.
Listen,
okay?
we need. Oh, there was a movie on Netflix with Regina King, that guy that just got in trouble, Idris Elba, and they had like a western. The Harder They Fall. I think it's called The Harder They Fall. It was good. We need another black ensemble cast. All doing in full, like everything is Asian, the full Asian aesthetic, that that scimitar, the houses, those we need, but it needs to be just called ninjas, but it's all black people. Ninjas, and it's like kung fu, it's like karate, samurais, but it's just called ninjas, and it's all black people in an Asian aesthetic, in the kimonos, like it just I would love this. We need to do this stuff. We need to just disrupt and be totally different.
Oh my God, that is such a brilliant idea.
Or these ninjas. These ninjas. These ninjas. And it'd be number black people.
Like, see, now you're going too far. You went too far. See, ninjas is one thing that could be taken serious. You said these ninjas.
These ninjas. But make it serious. Don't make it like don't make it like a Wayans comedy. Make it a serious action kung fu samurai flick, and just call it These Ninjas. All black people in Asia. That'd be so beautiful.
You know what? As crazy as it sounds, now you got me feeling like I need to see it.
Yeah.
You got me feeling like I need to see it. Somebody please clip this. Clip what he just said. Okay, send it over there to somebody. Okay, I don't care. Send it over there. Like, if you want to make some money, let's lean in. Let's just lean in.
Let's lean in.
Let me tell you something, Asian folks. Okay, now if y'all want to start acting like these Egyptians, okay, start talking about black people and look, listen. I will do a stream and show all the black. Listen, don't do it. Don't do it. People call me the racist, for a reason. Like, don't do it, because I will do it. Okay, but if anybody knows anybody that's making a film, got a little money and stuff, clip what R'Shaun said. Tell Jada and her husband they need to focus on something else called Martin Lawrence of Arabia. That's what they need.
Martin Lawrence of Arabia. These Ninjas starring Michael Jai White. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is, you know what? We gonna end it there. Cause see, that was too much. That was too much. You got me thinking about that now. Cause I was just like getting my thoughts together for a small documentary here in my town on black martial artists and the history of that out here. Because there's some documentaries on that now, but it just don't look the same.
Not a lot of traction.
It's not a lot of traction. So I wanted to do something like that, but that right there, oh my goodness, These Ninjas. I really want to see
These Ninjas.
And here's the thing, I want to see if they can make it serious.
Right. Because the way they did that Western, if we pulled off like a samurai or kung fu movie of all black people like that, man, it would be epic. It would be epic. Because back in the 70s, we had stuff like, it was a comedy, like The Last Dragon. There were more black, like the blaxploitation era. They had black guys doing karate, kung fu.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more us lean into some of this other stuff. We don't have to be a certain way. I think we need to break the molds. Got to break the molds.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, when all Asian people do a hip hop movie or a American movie and the whole cast is Asian and they talking like black people out here, it's funny, and we don't make an issue out of it. Actually, we watch it and laugh and give them our money too. Not that
I listen to K-pop. Right now in Korea and Japan. They make some of the best R&B music right now.
I've been hearing about some of that.
I've
been hearing about it. Yeah, I've been hearing about that. Yeah, and I haven't seen all of it, but I have been hearing about that R&B sound coming out there, and it's kind of nice too. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Even the hip hop. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even hip hop is starting to sound.
I can't understand half of it. But man, the production is on par.
That's how they feel about our hip hop artists. They don't understand what we say either, but it sounds
nope. Yeah, so I'm like, we need to lean in. I mean, everybody throughout history, what we complain about is white people stealing black people's stuff. White people stealing. Well, why don't we just join in the fun? Everybody else steals everything. The Greeks and the Romans stole everything that they encountered. Like, everybody steals everything and just makes it their own. They take the best and leave the worst. Gunpowder, stolen from Asia. Everything is like, oh, that was a good idea. I like that. Let me just take that. That's the history of humanity. And then black people are like, no, we're just going to keep this. We got this mold. We're going to keep this mold. And we're going to get mad at everybody that copies this mold, even though we can't police it. Let's just start taking the things that we like and be who we want to be.
Be who we want to be. Oh my God, that is beautiful. Be who we want to be. And tomorrow we want to be black samurais, the first ones, and then we want to be whoever Lawrence is. Okay, over there. I don't know who and what he was. I just seen that movie when I was coming up, and he was just a star, and I was like, he kind of like to be out there, but okay, like.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so please somebody clip this. But you know what, R'Shaun, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I always like tune into your stuff and have it have
appreciate
it playing and in the background sometimes, and it's always a pleasure tuning into your channel over there, Critically Drinking. But I am gonna like let you go because I don't like holding my guests too long. Because you know me, I'm the 8-hour woman sometimes, but not today.
Not today. That's what's up.
Not today. But we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna tune into your show in a bit. But I'm gonna also be on We on Locks Queen Talk later on tonight.
Okay.
We definitely got to catch up, and I'm actually gonna mention what you said to somebody too.
Please.
I'm gonna mention that. I'm gonna mention that because that is so brilliant. I just can't get over how brilliant that idea. Yeah.
These ninjas.
They-
These ninjas. Yeah. Hey, listen.
Oh my God. Well, listen, everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you're catching this on the restream, thank you for watching it on the restream. I appreciate each and every one of you. Definitely give me a like. Tell me what you think. If you don't like this video, definitely press the don't like button. Okay. Tell me why you don't like it. But always try to use something factual because, like I said, homeboy, Arab guy, he had a point or two. He really did. But we got him. The score has been settled. Okay, we got him. He had 1 2 out 1,000. So it is what it is. But we're gonna get out of here, and I want all of you guys to definitely go over to Critically Drinking if you have not already and subscribe. That is a great channel, and I am a fan. So I'm telling you now, like that right there, we fans up and down all the way over there. So I want to let R'Shaun get any last words out if he has any, and then we're gonna take it away.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. I did enjoy this. It's a nice departure from the usual conversations. I like conversations that are not the typical Black manosphere and adjacent conversation. So thank you for inviting me for this. It did get me to stretch my mind and my attention to something else. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy your conversations because you're very well informed, and a lot of people in this place are they're not well informed and engaging. Like you typically get one or the other, well informed or engaging. But you bring both of them, so I'm glad for you. You know, you're doing your new channel, you're doing your thing, so I'm glad to see. I'm looking forward to see everything you bring forward.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, R'Shaun. I appreciate you, and I'll just say that I enjoy yours, and I also enjoy conversations like this because don't get me wrong, we can talk about what we can talk about, or we can push the conversation forward. And I think we have pushed more than the conversation forward tonight. I think we're pushing the whole culture forward at this point. Because now I'm inspired to do what I've been thinking in the back of my mind. Now that I've heard what you have to say, I definitely feel more, like I got a basis more,
Okay.
But I definitely appreciate the conversation, and I appreciate everyone that left comments in the comment section because I'm still getting used to handling the ones and twos here. So I haven't read all of the comments, so please forgive me if I didn't read any of your comments and put them on screen. Sorry, I'm still in training mode here. Okay. But I typically do like these one-on-ones versus the panel discussions, and I probably will do a panel discussion when it kind of suits that sort of thing. But I like the one-on-ones because I get to hear you out in full in terms of what you have to offer the conversation versus it being too debated. But I probably might need to do a panel discussion and get some of these Arabs up here. Yeah, I don't mind. But again, they would have to say, you know what, I want to come do that, and I have to make it a thing. But I don't want it to be like a fight night sort of situation.
Gotcha.
I'd rather it be someone that has something to say and they actually bring the facts, and we can debate the facts. We can pull up pictures, we can pull up artifacts, we can do. But I do think the conversation should be moving the culture forward, because African Americans have our position and they have theirs. So why do we need to move? Now that's where we can kind of talk. But I definitely appreciate the conversation, and it's like 3:00 my time. I'm gonna that you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'm gonna
Thank you.
bid you farewell. But definitely, I will be in touch. And thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. I'm gonna go ahead and drop off. See you soon.
Okay. Okay, everybody. So that was our Sean. If you enjoyed this, like I said, press like, press dislike, leave a comment, share this video. Again, if you heard something that you thought was as brilliant as I thought it was, definitely clip this video, send it to the right person, please. Okay. But do what you need to do, and I will bid you all a farewell because I'm about to go enjoy my Sunday and finish being trained. Yes, I study martial arts too, and I suck at a lot of stuff you wouldn't believe. But that's it for us tonight, people. We're gonna get out of here, and I will see you guys next time on Game of Dragons. Have a good night. Bye bye.